Thank you, very kind, for that introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a privilege for me to be here with you today, and also a pleasure to have the opportunity to address this conference focusing on new emergent technologies, their benefits and use, in particular distributed ledger technologies, on which Malta, as you've heard, the smallest EU member state in the Mediterranean, known in this field as the blockchain island, decided to embrace this sector. In an ever-evolving global scenario, rapid technological advancement is guiding our way forward. However, the necessity of striking a healthy balance between regulation, competitiveness, and innovation has never been as critical as it is today. Impacting the very workings of several sectors and industries, it is essential that this fine balance is reached and, more importantly, maintained. This is none the more urgent than within the global financial service industry, and Malta is no exception. As a government, we have legislated to provide the necessary framework for the ironclad regulation by enacting 3 groundbreaking laws which are game changers within the blockchain and distributed ledger technology sphere, providing the much coveted legal certainty within the space at a time when disruptive technology sectors was likened to the Wild West of financial services. Earlier, this need of assurance have given rise to several operators questioning whether their activity would be legal, to what extent, and urgently required clarity with respect to implications of cooperating and operating within a particular jurisdiction. Addressing this need, while taking the utmost care to not only stifle our country's competitiveness, we managed to demonstrate our capability in creating legislation which fully benefits all relevant stakeholders and ultimately consumers. The Virtual Financial Assets Act outlines stringent requirements for those entities launching cryptocurrencies as well as other related service providers, but perhaps more crucially, I would say, related to cryptocurrencies exchanges. The necessary licensing requirements and conditions which must be adhered to by individuals or entities who issue VFA or who provide certain specified activities in relation to VFAs are also specifically clearly defined. The Malta Digital Innovation Authority was created to promote and develop the innovative technology sector in Malta by means of providing formal recognition and regulation of relevant innovative technology arrangements and related service providers. Its regulatory and supervisory roles are undertaken within the delicate context of not hampering innovation and the potential of the startup sector in this innovative technology area. However, we have long acknowledged that while legal certitude is vital, this cannot be maintained at the expense of consumer protection, an important aspect which invariably plays an essential role for the sustainability of the DLT ecosystem. To this end, the Malta Digital Innovation Authority ensures that the standards in place for the protection of consumers and investors, the integrity of the market and the public interest in general are fully maintained. Ultimately, this leads to the fostering of more trust in the system used through independent audits on technology undertaken by approved system auditors, which are also vetted by the authority. The Innovative Technology Arrangements and Services Act goes hand in hand with the Malta Digital Innovation Act, creating a framework for blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, and smart contracts, establishing the definitional criteria for innovative technology arrangements and innovative technology services. Also, this along with the Malta Digital Innovation Authority, which regulates, monitors, and also supervises this industry. Together, these 3 bills make Malta the first country in the European Union to provide a sound, and robust legal regime relating to the blockchain industry, while also providing the end consumer with the relevant protection and peace of mind. However, while consumer protection and a solid legal framework are indeed important within a digital context, it is also imperative to ensure that we nurture an ecosystem that also fosters innovation. We believe that as a country, we have managed to find the elusive balance between regulation, innovation, competitiveness, and consumer protection, enabling, therefore, the relevant stakeholders to operate within a robust legal framework, offering significant protection for users, as well as creating the ideal environment that will help drive the technology forward. As a government, we are walking the talk by implementing projects within this public sector that are already proving to be effective in the way citizens are being served. We have launched the nationwide BlockCerts educational project, on which students are receiving their education certificates through blockchain. Another project which is well underway is that of seeing the Malta Business Registry Agency functioning on a blockchain-based system. We are now scrutinizing other departments where blockchain can be incorporated, such as the land registry, rental contracts, and others, in a bid to bolster transparency, accountability, and also as a means of diminishing unnecessary bureaucratic procedures. This balancing approach is clear indication that Malta has made it to the top priority to protect consumers, investors, and operators, without hindering the development of the much needed innovative technology business. If we are to fully benefit from this fast-paced revolution and successfully implementation of technological advancement, we need to harness both stakeholders and consumer sentiment and deliver accordingly. It is now with the same mindset that we have set our sights further afield on the digital horizon and are intensely looking at incorporating AI into our flourishing ecosystem. In much the same way as the blockchain technology, artificial intelligence is likely to shape, change, and also mold the landscape of how sectors we know today operate. This has mobilized us into the exploration of artificial intelligence as a new economic niche. The Malta.ai task force has just recently been established and tasked with the implementation of a holistic AI strategy that delineates for ethically aligned, transparent, and socially responsible AI. But in the true spirit of innovation, we can say that this is only the beginning. Having a policy for artificial intelligence to be administered by the Malta Digital Innovation Authority would set the scene for the exploration of other niches, such as Internet of Things and quantum technology. Malta.ai is simply another thrilling chapter in our country's future. I believe that our country's stance in embracing and adopting to the seismic changes brought about by emerging technologies have greatly contributed to the continuous growth and technological innovation within Malta's robust financial service industry and beyond. A stance which has placed Malta at the forefront in the global race towards a more successful digital future, which will ultimately benefit the country, its economy, but most importantly, its people. Thank you very much, and I wish you all a fruitful and constructive exchange of ideas. Okay.
Thank you so much, Your Honorable. We would like, if you have some time, to take some Q&As, if this will be possible. Thank you so much. So, would anyone like to pose a question, or? Yes, please. Please.
Yeah.
Hi. I really like the regulation proposals and the work Malta already done, but it's still hard to get a banking account in Malta or anywhere else. Do you see possibilities for that as well?
In terms of banking, you mentioned?
To get a banking account. as a crypto company?
Okay, I would say that's not only ours, Achilles' heel. In the previous panel, I mentioned that it's better not to start on banks. I think banks have got to adopt and embrace this new technological advancement. And actually, we're seeing big banks also having their branches in terms of fintech to be able to accept and operate this type of industries. I wouldn't say that I am happy with the present situation of how banks are looking at this industry. But there again, for me, it's just a matter of time. We are seeing, in fact, a new phenomenon where there are these so-called challenger banks, private banks, which operate and apply for a license that they would cater for these so-called high-risk industries, not as a normal retail bank, which will eventually get us there and which will service this industry. But yes, you are right. As things stand today, the normal traditional banking industry, whether they're seeing this activity as a threat to their normal operations or whether it is difficult for them to fathom the whole industry, how it works, or the investment that needs to be done to go out from their comfort zone, it's a natural course, and it's only a matter of time whereby banks would need to abide by the new innovative technology services. But I don't think this will stop the industrial revolution that is happening with these new services. At least from our side. As a government, our policy is not dictated by banks. Our policy is dictated by the policymakers, and we have already decided which direction to head.
One more question. The microphone.
Yes. I appreciate the work you do in Malta, being one of the first countries to have a legal framework for blockchain. However, there are recent studies by the European Commission finding several challenges, GDPR and blockchain. Maybe also some critical processes like voting or identity.
Yeah.
What is your opinion? Do you think that DLTs and blockchain can really go forward and work together with regulations and frameworks for critical processes?
Yeah, I think I answered that question 20 minutes ago during our panel. As I said before, the GDPR rules were started to being discussed not with the present technology in mind. And as I said, rules and regulations are not something cast in stone, but something which needs to adapt to new realities. And this is one case in point. GDPR rules, as it stands today, are not compliant with innovative technologies. And I don't think that regulations will stop innovation. It has to be the other way around, and it will be the other way around. Regulations will need to adapt to technology advancements.
We have time for one last question.
Pardon me. It's the same question I wanted to ask during the panel. One of the attractions of cryptocurrencies and the blockchain initially was precisely its freedom from regulation. The anonymity it gives, the freedom to maneuver. What happens to this entire sector if it is fully regulated, as is now the banking system? Thank you.
It depends what you understand by regulation. From our side, what we understand by regulation is that you give clarity to the industry to operate. If we want to select between fraudulent companies to those serious companies, there must be a fine line that selects from a company that is offering a genuine service and from those fraudulent companies that are offering a ripoff. And this has to be done by a central authority. But then it depends on the way you tackle that type of challenge. In Malta, we have had the same experience in the iGaming industry. We've started regulation in the iGaming industry about, I would say, not more than 15 years ago. At that time, there was a situation where these services were being offered, were not being regulated. The same questions were being, look, how can you regulate a digital service, an electronic service? How can you regulate a service that's being done in one country and provided in another country? History proved them wrong. In Malta, we've been regulating successfully. Nowadays, this industry represents about 12% of our economy. It employed thousands of people. And now we're seeing a movement across Europe whereby each and every country is regulating the same way we did in Malta 15 years ago. The same will happen with this industry. This is another technological service. You need to provide regulation. It doesn't mean that, and this is the wrong approach. If we look at regulation to regulate a technological service from a perspective of a traditional service, you will never get it right. You need to look at this industry as an animal on its own. That is why Malta, we have created an ad hoc legislation for the whole ecosystem to be able to flourish in Malta. We have understood the technology, we understand the service, and we have spoken with the operators, and we have provided a whole framework, not only in terms of cryptocurrencies, in terms of financial product, we have provided in terms of the technological products through a system orders, through the Innovative Technology Services and Arrangements and Services Act, through system orders, etc. So we understand technology, we understand the other applications on the technology, being cryptocurrencies or any other service, and then we can provide consumer protection, market integrity, and all the other buzzwords related to any other industries.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.